The Morgan Report with David Morgan.
David Morgan with you, themorganreport.com, with the weekly perspective for the week ending 16 October 2020. Well, let me start off with the stock market as I normally do. And I will say that the market breadth has shown improvement, and the banks, of course, are holding the whole financial sector back, and that's not a big surprise with all the money printing. However, the asset managers have turned up, so there is more interest in investing, especially through professional money management. Let me just leave it there. The stock market's still in an indecision pattern at a high level. It could break to new highs. I think it'd be temporary, but time will tell. Overall, as I've said many times, the stock market is truly overvalued. Moving to our first article this week, I am going to spend a little time on this and then probably move into the precious metal sector. This is from resilience.org, and the title is 4 Reasons Civilization Won't Decline, It Will Collapse. Now, what I'm about to go over is, at this point, quite controversial, and many will just, as soon as I open up my mouth further, are going to basically diss the article and move on. And that's fine. I'm not trying to hold anybody for points or whatever. I don't monetize these. However, most people, in my studied view, still don't understand how critical the oil market is to the overall economy. And certainly there's been a huge decline in demand from the virus because most people are not commuting nearly as much. Airlines are devastated. Basic transportation to and from work is curtailed because a lot of people are told to work from home, and on it goes. However, the fracking industry is basically on its last legs as far as I can tell, and I study that fairly often. So, moving on, here are the 4 things that say collapse and not decline. The first difference: unlike previous civilizations, modern industrial civilization is powered by an exceptionally rich, non-renewable, irreplaceable energy source, fossil fuels. And nothing really happens without energy, and for the most part, that still means oil. Difference number 2, unlike past civilizations, the economy of an industrial society is capitalistic. Production for profit is the prime directive and driving force. The unprecedented surplus energy supplied by fossil fuels has generated exceptional growth and enormous profits over the past 2 centuries. But in the coming decades, these historic windfalls of abundant energy, constant growth, and rising profits will vanish. And I'll spend a little moment here. The only way to really understand this objectively is EROI, energy return on investment. If it takes 10 barrels of oil to produce 12 barrels of oil, you're doomed. Why? You got a 20% return. No, you have a 20% at the wellhead, but now you've got to transport it. You've got to refine it, and then you got to retransport it to its final destination from the refiner to the end user. And the net there is probably negative. So really, if you study this carefully, and you look at even the big energy producers, which my friend Steve St. Angelo does more in that arena than I, you'll find that even the big boys are really having trouble. And the ExxonMobil merger really was done to create the illusion that things are fine and business is normal. It's not. Again, you want to turn this off and ignore it. Go ahead at your own for your own edification, but I'll tell you, really, this is about edification, and it is about looking ahead and seeing what most people can't see right now, because it seems as if this is not important, but it really is. The peak oil thing is probably dissed by many. I ask you to revisit it with new eyes. Difference number 3, unlike past societies, the industrial civilization isn't Roman, Chinese, Egyptian, Aztec, or Mayan. Modern civilization is human, planetary, and ecocidal. Pre-industrialized civilization depleted their topsoil, felled their forests, and polluted their rivers. But the harm was far more temporary and geographically limited. Once market incentives harness the colossal power of fossil fuels to exploit nature, the dire results were planetary. 2 centuries of fossil fuel combustion have saturated the biosphere with carbon, and on and on. I'll leave it there. Move on to difference number 4. Human civilization's collective capacity to confront its mounting crisis is crippled by fragmented political systems of antagonistic nations ruled by corrupt elites who care more about power and wealth than people and the planet. And I think that needs to be repeated. I won't reread it, but think about it. And a lot of us get drawn into this. We're taking sides or whatever, when really, objectively, it's just one against the other, when we're being coerced into thinking that somebody is going to do something, when really all they're doing is arguing and promoting the idea that they're going to do something. And I won't pick on any particular green group or counterparty to a green group. It's just a lot of talk and not much action. Moving on, humanity faces a perfect storm of converging global calamities, intersecting climate chaos, rapid extinction of food and freshwater scarcity, poverty, extreme inequality, and the rise of global pandemics are rapidly eroding the foundations of modern life. I think most of us can see that. And finally, to wrap up, the eventual outcome of this great implosion is up for grabs. Will we overcome denial and despair, kick our addiction to petroleum, and pull together to break the grip of corporate power? Can we foster genuine democracy, harness renewable energy, reweave our communities, relearn forgotten skills, and heal the wounds we've inflicted? Or will fear and prejudice drive us into hostile camps, fighting over dwindling resources? Stakes are high. Oh, so I will get into the precious metals now. This is a chart from goldsilver.com. As you can see, we have moved out of this range here, as we all know. This nice up move rather rapidly. And now we've been consolidating around this range, roughly below 2,000. We did get a drop, but now we're reconsolidating at a lower level, and I think that's going to continue until it stops, which isn't a very brilliant statement. But my take is I don't expect a big move up or down for a while. If the market does either, we will take appropriate action. And now we can take a look at the silver chart, and we definitely see a similar pattern here. We were flatlining for a long time. We got this big move up, similar to gold, outperformed gold. I'll show the ratio in a bit. And basically, we stayed around the $27 level. Like gold, we came down in silver, and now are reestablishing another trading range below the 25 level, basically. So first one up, touched near 30 once or so, traded roughly around the $27 level. Dropped, and now reconsolidating. Again, like gold, I don't really expect to see a lot. If it does move one or the other substantially, in other words, takes out that low or takes out that high on substantial volume, then we will adjust accordingly. Right now, I'm personally building cash. I'm not doing much investing at this time, and we're coming up near the end of the year. October 1st is the start date for many corporations. They can start the year whenever they want. October 1st is chosen by many. And we also are coming into tax law selling in December. It's not that far away. And finally, for this week, I want to take a look at the gold-silver ratio. Anyone that follows the metals, even at a cursory level, probably is aware of the fact that we got to a huge gold-silver ratio. This chart shows 120, but it really probably shows it accurately. Somewhere around 125, 125 ounces. And we came down rather quickly to this level, about 80 to 1, which is basically the level ratio where this market started, the bull market, way back when in 2003. Regardless, I said I really wanted to see it get under 80 to 1. I'd be a lot more comfortable. If it did that, we are remaining there basically. We were down around the 70 to 1, as you can see, roughly from early August all the way through September. And now we have popped back up, but we're pretty much remaining below 80. I look at that as an indicator. If we go much above 80, I would start to question, not so much as the last leg of the bull market intact or not. What I would question is what's the best action to take regarding the gold-silver ratio itself. So as long as we're below 80, I think silver is going to outperform gold. We started to get up into this range again, 90, 100. I'd have to question that premise. And I'll just finish up with a bit of promotion here. This is on the blog, which all this is for free, our YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all that stuff is up here at the top. Some people miss it because it's fairly small, but that's where it is. And then all the blog posts are here, as you can see. They're pretty easy to get to. Obviously, you just click on this and it'll bring it up for you. Most of these are audio, some are video, some are written format. All right, so I just clicked on the blog. This is the latest. This is the biggest move in precious metals history coming. You can read that here. We write them out now. And then incorporated in this is one I did recently called the Silver or Get Rich Quick proposition. You can watch that here. This sort of summarized it. And there is a way you can do it. So I want you to pay attention to the fact that the blog is not just the videos or the audios anymore. We're actually writing out sort of a summary for everyone so that you can read them and see if you're actually interested in playing the whole thing or not. So just be advised on that. I'm going to leave it there for now. And this week I'm going to end with one that I already did, but I want to repeat it from The Law, Frederick Bastiat, a classic blueprint for a just society. It's basically the last two paragraphs of the whole book. The title is Let Us Now Try Liberty. God has given to men all that is necessary for them to accomplish their destinies. He has provided a social form as well as a human form. And these social organs of persons are so constituted that they will develop themselves harmoniously in the clean air of liberty. Away then with quacks and organizers. Away with their rings, chains, hooks, and pincers. Away with their artificial systems. Away with the whims of governmental administrators, their socialized projects, their centralization, their tariffs, their government schools, their state religions, their free credit, their bank monopolies, their regulations, their restrictions, their equalization by taxation, and their pious moralizations. And now that legislators and do-gooders have so futilely inflicted so many systems upon society, may they finally end where they should have begun. May they reject all systems and try liberty. For liberty is an acknowledgement of the faith in God and His works. That's it for this week. I will be back with you next week with another weekly perspective. David Morgan, themorganreport.com.